Hi, everyone. Welcome to CNBC's overview of the online fundraising platform WeDidIt. Before we dive in, we just wanted to quickly introduce ourselves. I'm Emma Simpkins, Program Manager at CNBC.
And I'm Steph Flores, Program Coordinator. We also wanted to do a quick overview of what we're going to discuss in today's demo. First, we're going to talk about why it's important to cultivate donors online. Why are we opening a fundraising platform, essentially? Then we're going to talk about why we chose WeDidIt as our new fundraising platform. Then we're going to actually introduce you to the tool. So we're going to walk through the main features that you might use. And then we're going to talk a little bit about pricing, what's included already in the package that CNBC has, and what pieces are kind of add-ons. Emma, will you start with kind of our overview of cultivating online donors and why we chose WeDidIt?
Definitely. So as Steph mentioned, we see it as extremely critical for our projects to have an option of raising funds online. So as you may know, individual donors make up the bulk of donations to nonprofits in the US. They actually outpace giving by foundations and corporations by quite a large amount of dollars in this country. We've also seen a huge uptick in individual donations this year, mostly due to the COVID-19 pandemic. People are really feeling a sense of urgency around donating to organizations that are providing critical services in the community. So we really wanted to find an online fundraising platform that would make it easy for all of our projects to tap into those individual donors that are out there. We're going to dive into the specifics of WeDidIt in just a second, but as you probably have seen, there are a ton of online fundraising platforms out there. There are lots of tools, payment platforms, everything you could imagine. So why did we go with WeDidIt? And why should your project be excited about WeDidIt? So the biggest thing is WeDidIt is fiscal sponsor friendly. So it's pretty rare that we find a platform that understands what fiscal sponsorship actually looks like and is willing to work with fiscal sponsors to make the platform extremely easy for both the fiscal sponsor, the fiscally sponsored projects, and the donors. So we feel like WeDidIt is that best option out there. They created the platform with a group of fiscal sponsors advising them as to the needs they have within our unique structure. And we also really like that WeDidIt offers a ton of customizable tools. So not only can you create a donation page, you can also create a fundraising campaign. So something similar to a crowdfunding campaign you might see on like a GoFundMe or a site like that. You can also sell event tickets. You can sell memberships to your project. You can set up a text to donate option at events or just in general to use with your stakeholders. And there's also a ton of great customer support. So a lot of platforms we've used in the past are very lacking in the customer support domain. And we're going to show you in a little bit, but not only does WeDidIt have a really robust help desk where you can access a ton of how-to guides and frequently asked questions, but we also have a dedicated account rep. So if something big happens with your account, we have someone that we can specifically go to for support. We're also super excited because WeDidIt is one of the few platforms that we've found that works not only with fiscal sponsorship, but also gives donors the option of covering the associated fees. So all of these platforms and processors have some sort of fee associated with collecting a donation. And WeDidIt is pretty unique in that they have a really easy checkbox, as we'll show you in a minute, where the donor can opt into covering that fee. So it's very transparent of, hey, you're going to donate $10. This is how much the fee will be for this nonprofit. Would you like to cover it? Just to make sure more of that money gets into the nonprofit's pockets. And WeDidIt has some great stats around this, and they found that roughly 70% of donors do cover that fee, which ultimately is going to mean, like I said earlier, more money in your project's pocket. And then lastly, WeDidIt has also found that most nonprofits that they work with see an uptick in online donations of about 30%. So we're super excited to share what this looks like specifically and just walk you through all of the awesome features.
Awesome. So we're going to jump into the tool. Bear with me for just a moment while I pull up my screen share. And while I do that, I just want to clarify that CNDC has a parent account, and then each project has a project sub-account. Our parent account is attached to our communal bank account. So any funds brought through your project account actually go into CNDC's parent account and then into the bank account earmarked for your project. When you're ready to onboard, we will send you an invitation to create your project account. You'll accept the invitation and then you'll follow the link in the specific email to get set up. When you first come in, you'll be taken to this dashboard page. And this is really just your home base. So it's got this help center here, which is extremely beneficial. And then obviously you can see on the left-hand side that are all kind of the different features that you'll be using. So just to touch base on the help center piece real quick, we have been so impressed with this help center. If you want to create a campaign page, for example, you can type in how to create a campaign page and be taken to the article around that. If you need to cancel a recurring donation, you can search for that and you can find how to cancel. I would highly suggest when a question does pop up to check the Help Center first because we've been really impressed with these materials. Okay, well, we want to make sure, also before I leave this page, on the bottom of every page over here in this little circle is a live chat. So if you click on it, let's say you searched for something to the Help Center, you couldn't find the answer, you could click on this blue chat bubble down here and you can talk to an agent in real time, which is so nice. Okay, so now I want to show you what you'll be responsible for creating as a project. And Emma, did we estimate that this whole process, so setting up the user, setting up the white label page, setting up the donation page, that all takes between 45 minutes and an hour, correct?
Correct. We've had a project that has gone through this process basically as a guinea pig, and they found it to be very intuitive, and their executive director said it probably took him maybe half an hour to get things going and start collecting donations.
Awesome. So it's super fast. When you do hit a roadblock, remember this help center, remember this chat bubble, and obviously we're here for you as well. But one of the very first things that you're going to do when you get set up is to come over here. You're going to scroll down and you're going to click on user settings. So when you come to user settings, you're going to complete your first name, your last name, and your email address. If you happen to have an info email address for your project, we would highly recommend using that. If you have a office location, then you'll use your project's office location. If you don't, you can use CNDC's. We're at 789 Sherman Street, Suite 250. You'll create your password and you'll confirm your password. And then you'll come in here and you can select different options. So for example, if you want to receive email notifications for every donation that comes through, you can click that. If you don't, you just simply unclick it. Once you've created your actual user, you'll update it, and then you're good to go. Emma, will you lead us through white labels?
Sure. So your white label is essentially a template that makes your donation page look and feel like your actual website. So I want to point out towards the top, there is this View Video Guide link. This will take you to a pop-up of a video that's about 5 minutes long. We highly recommend giving it a look. It walks you through exactly how to customize this white label through this page on the dashboard. So you have two options for this white label. And I should say, you need to go with one of these two options because otherwise it's going to just go with this kind of template that you're seeing down here of kind of this blue color scheme. It doesn't really have much information about which project this white label is for. So you're going to want to either edit this page yourself. You want to essentially DIY it. So you would do that by, just like Steph is doing, you click on the little pencil icons, you can change the colors, you can add in text, change the font, things like that. Customize it so it's specific to your project. And the second option would be purchasing a custom white label design by WeDidIt. Please note this page shows that it's a $250 cost that is charged to your project. And essentially a custom white label means that WeDidIt will design your white label to look exactly like your website. So if that's something you want to invest in, you can do that directly through your sub account on this page. But you can also feel free to DIY it. Steph is going to actually show us what the difference is between a custom white label and a DIY white label here in a second.
Bear with me, I'm trying to pull it up. Here we go. Sorry about that. So this is the custom white label. Oh, sorry. This is the custom white label for the Los Angeles Zoo and Botanical Gardens. And I'll just click through here to the website itself so that you can see that this heading up here and all of these options have carried over to their white label page. So it looks like it integrates really nicely with their website. And then this one is for the Salvation Army, and this is their basic white label page. So still has, you know, all of the information that's needed to make a donation, still has, you know, options that they could select, still has the text of, you know, who is the Salvation Army, what are you supporting if you make a donation, etc. It just doesn't integrate as nicely with their actual website.
Just to point out quickly, I believe both of those examples show specific fundraising campaigns that those organizations ran, which is why you see a fundraising goal and things like that. Your donation page will be a little bit more generic in that it's just collecting regular donations. I also want to point out that your WeDidIt donation page or your campaign page or your membership page, any of these pages are technically separate web pages. And the white label is important because it makes it look cohesive with your website so that your donors probably won't even notice that they've left your website technically. So you want to make this page look as similar to your website as possible. So as you saw in those examples, we recommend including the same website headers, color scheme, logo, things like that, just so it looks very cohesive and like it's the same web page.
Yeah, that's a great point. And actually, as we pop into the donation page here, I'll just note what Emma was talking about. So when you create either a donation page or a campaign, etc., all of the URLs are slightly different. So having all of the same white labeling or that template overlay kind of makes it really look cohesive. Thanks for highlighting that piece. The donation page is where your donors will remit payment or donations. This is the link here that you'll use to guide donors to visit your website. So this is the link that you might send out via email, in an e-newsletter, through social media, etc. And here is where you kind of customize that piece. So, you know, your header statement might be, thank you for contributing to X project. You can write a description here. You'll also fill out the details. So you'll be able to select if you want folks to be able to make a recurring donation or if they can only make one-time donations. You can change the default donation amounts here. If you want your donors to be able to leave you a message, you would enable donation message, etc. On the third page is the email receipt. So this is not the tax acknowledgement language, which we'll talk about a little bit later down here for emails. This is really the thank you message. So this is you thanking your donor for their contribution. And this final page is what pops up after they've actually put the transaction through. So you can attach an image here. One really cool option is you can actually upload a video. So you could have your executive director give a thank you message. You could have a staff member give a thank you message. You could have a compilation video of a bunch of people giving a thank you message, but it's just kind of a cool, unique, and personal touch for your donors. Also, I wanted to touch base on the analytics page. As you are starting to send this link out and starting to direct people to your donation page, this is such a cool dashboard. So you can obviously change the date range. Like let's say you really launched a campaign from July until October, you could update the metrics from that period of time so you could see if that targeted effort was really helping. As you're sending it out, maybe you're sending a link directly, maybe you're posting it on different social media sites, etc. But this kind of gives you a little quick glimpse of where your donors are coming from. Also, you can see where people are coming from by state, and you can also see where the majority are coming from. So those darker colors are where the majority of our donors are coming from, which is so cool. So when we saw these analytics pages, which are both for donation pages as well as campaigns, they have analytics as well. We kind of envisioned like, wow, wouldn't this be a cool tool for project directors to take a screenshot and share with their board, or share on their annual, reports, or share to their fundraising team, etc. So lots of cool kind of analytical features here. For the recurring page, you might use this feature, you might not use this feature. If you're creating a recurring page and URL, your donors can only make recurring donations. So with a donation page, they could make either a recurring or a one-time donation. But if you are putting a URL for recurring donations out, they are automatically recurring. So just keep that in mind. The steps would all be the same. You've got that description, the details, you'll create an email receipt, and then of course that thank you page if you wanted to do a cool video and or image. Also have the analytics there, of course. Emma, will you talk to us about campaigns?
Sure, and one thing I just thought of for the recurring page, it's a little bit counterintuitive because you create the recurrence frequencies under your donation page section. So it seems like it would be under the recurring page section, but you actually would go to your donation page and check off any of the recurring frequencies there, and that translates over to the recurring section, just as a quick heads up. But let's talk a little bit about campaigns. So campaigns are, like I said earlier, similar to crowdfunding or a Colorado Gives campaign, an end of year fundraising push, a capital campaign, any of those kind of special fundraising pushes that you might have throughout the year. So creating a campaign is pretty similar to creating a donation page. So you'll go to this campaign section and hit new. You have an option, you can create templates. If you're doing these very frequently, you can create a set of templates to easily pull from. But essentially you'll go into this screen, you'll choose a title, summary, you'll put in all of the basic information about your campaign. You'll need to put in a fundraising goal. So maybe you want to raise $10,000 before the end of 2020. Something to pay attention to is this fundraising style. So traditional means that if your goal is 10,000 and you only raise 5,000, you get the 5,000. All or nothing means you only get the money if you meet your goal. So most likely you'll probably be doing a traditional fundraising campaign, but let's say you're doing a campaign where you're very specifically asking for funds to purchase a van, let's say. Any dollars you raise have to go towards the purchase of a van. So if you don't meet your fundraising goal, you probably don't want those funds because you can't do anything with them unless it's purchasing a van. So please talk to CNBC if you have any questions about this, especially in the context of fundraising campaigns. We want to make sure that the language doesn't restrict the way you can use donations. So again, feel free to reach out to us if you're planning on doing a fundraising campaign. But moving on down, you can choose recurring contribution periods, and then you can also play with the settings. So if you want your donors to see your fundraising goal, if you want them to see how much progress you've made, if you want them to see the end date of the fundraising push, you can select those options here. Awesome. And then, kind of similar, like I said, to the donation pages, you'll just put in all these details. So you can add in some media clips. You can choose to give folks rewards. So you often see this in GoFundMe campaigns where, you know, if you donate $100, you'll get a sticker or some sort of reward. You can put those in here as well. And you'll also be able to put in some thank you language, and ultimately you'll publish your campaign. Your campaign will have a specific URL. So like Steph was mentioning earlier, all of these features have specific URLs. So each campaign will have a specific URL that you can then send out, post on your website, things like that, to share it with your community.
Awesome. Do you want to talk a little bit about contributions?
Definitely. So contributions, once your page starts receiving donations, you'll be able to see all of that data here. So you can choose a certain date range and essentially produce Excel downloads of that information in this section.
Perfect. All right. Heading on over to memberships. So if you are a membership-based organization, you might find this piece really helpful. You can create different membership options, different membership levels. If you only have one level, that also works with this platform. But let's say you had 3 levels and each offering had something slightly different. When you create a different level, you could specify in the description and also with, in the description, kind of what distinguishes that level from a different level. Also, something kind of cool here on the, oops, hold on, I've lost. Oh, on the customization piece, after they've purchased, you can obviously create a kind of purchase page message here. You also have a thank you page, but you also have this term of service, which we think is kind of unique. So if your membership comes with any sort of term of service, it may or may not, you could attach the file here and people have to accept it to be able to purchase their membership. So that's kind of a nice way of kind of ensuring that risk management piece is done by making sure they get that terms of service document early on in the process. We also want to talk about events. I'll come down here. If you do events, this might be kind of exciting for you. This is a ticket sales and guest tracking kind of piece of the platform. So you could create your event. You create the name, the description, the location, the start time, the end time, etc. Fill out all of this information. You could create a quick thank you page, and you could actually do your ticket sales and your event attendee tracking through WeDidIt, which is great. Any other pieces I'm missing on the event piece, Emma?
I don't think so.
Perfect. Great. Will you walk us through reports a little bit?
Sure. So once you have activity in your account, you'll have access to contributions reports that will be generated periodically by WeDidIt. And again, you can download and see all of the details of your donors that they've provided. So name, contact information, donation amount. You can see the fee that was taken from that donation, all of the kind of general details you need about your donations can be found in this section. And then text to donate is another feature we're super excited about with WeDidIt. So a lot of projects have been utilizing text to donate functionality at events, and just as an easy way to get folks engaged in the donation portion of different activities that our projects host. So what you would do is come to this section, you would create a code. Essentially, you get to pick an SMS code that you would give to folks to text to that 800 number that was on the previous page. So you get to customize this. And actually, sorry, it's not an 800, it's a 619 number. My apologies. But essentially, you get to pick a custom code. So let's say your project is hosting an event. You could make it something related to the event or your project name. it's totally up to you. As long as that code hasn't been used by another organization, it should be available. And essentially, you would have folks text this code to that phone number, and they would be redirected to your donation page where they can input their payment information to donate to you. We will talk a little bit about this in a moment. There is an extra fee associated with this text to donate feature, but like I said, we'll go into that in more detail in just a minute.
Perfect. And then the last piece of this kind of demo, we really wanted to focus on forms. So you may use this, you may not, but we thought this was a really great kind of add-on to their fundraising package here. So you can create various forms. It's super easy. If you're familiar with FormSite, it works very similarly where you just drag, select and drag, type it out, etc. But these are forms that you could use to collect volunteer information, to collect testimonials, maybe from clients or people that you have worked with, to run a survey with your community, or to conduct a survey with your volunteers, etc. It's just kind of nice that it all can live here in this one platform. So you don't have to have a link to a Google Doc and also, or Google Forms, and also, work with PayPal, and also separately work with Eventbrite. Like, all of these features are in WeDidIt, which is so cool. All right, shall we talk about pricing?
I think we shall. We do need to talk about emails, though. Should we do that now?
Thank you. We sure should. So just kidding. The last thing, emails.
You'll see this drop down in this email section is going to show you all of the various emails that can go out through WeDidIt. So before we take a look at any of these, please, please, please do not update any of these templates in this section. Essentially, we want you to ignore this section. This is something that CNDC will set up in your account so that it matches our tax acknowledgement letter language. So we drafted this language to comply with all of the IRS rules and guidelines. We're super excited that all of your donors will start to receive this language. As many of you may know, there was previously a dollar amount threshold for us to send out tax acknowledgement letters because there's quite a bit of work associated. And this streamlines that work and means that all of your donors will get this same language, no matter if they donate $5 or they donate $500. So we're super excited about this, but again, please do not make changes to these templates. If you have a question or a concern about any of this language, please reach out to us so we can work with you. But Steph, would you mind opening, or actually we don't need to show it specifically, but please note towards the bottom, tax receipt from donation page. So like I said, this is the language that any donor will get if they make a donation through your donation page. There's standard language if it's from a campaign. There's standard language we'll use if it's a ticket confirmation. So one other thing to highlight, not only please do not change these and reach out to us if you have questions, but also please let us know if you plan to utilize the text to donate feature, the events feature, the membership feature, basically any feature besides the donation page. Let us know so we can make sure your templates are up to date. Something that's important is that we let any donor or purchaser know if something was given in exchange and what that value is. So just reach out to us before you make any of those features live, and we'll make sure these emails are ready to go so that all of your donors and purchasers get the information they need when they're filing their taxes.
Perfect. Thanks for reminding me. I totally missed that section. Perfect. So now you're probably eager to hear a little bit about pricing. So first thing first, the account itself is actually being paid for by CNDC. So if you do not select any of the add-ons, this is a totally free kind of benefit, except for the online payment fee per donation. But to actually have an account and utilize your donation page, etc., that would be entirely complimentary under CNDC's current plan. Like all online payment processors, there is a transaction fee. So we want to be really upfront about that. There's a transaction fee of 2.2% plus 30 cents plus 2% per transaction. We know that sounds a little bit confusing. It's very common in the online payment processor world to have these weird percentages with a plus, 30-cent transaction fee. So this is actually a pretty similar fee to the fees that exist already in other online payment processors. And we just have an example for you to help make it a little clearer. So the fee is about 80 cents on a $10 donation. If the donor chooses not to cover the fee, of course. But if the donor does choose to cover the fee, which WeDidIt claims happens about 70% of the time, you would obviously get that full $10. So don't forget that donors have the option of covering the fee, and it's automatically checked on the box when someone goes to make a donation. So they actually have to physically uncheck it if they don't want to cover that fee. Also, for some of the add-ons that we talked about, the custom white label, as Emma mentioned, is $250 to work directly with WeDidIt. Of course, you could use the basic white label as well, and that would be at no cost to you. If you want to try the text to donate feature, you would subscribe for a period of 2 months or longer, and the current rate as of October 2020 is $100 for 2 months. So remember that you can turn this on and off as needed, which is super cool. So let's say you have 2 events a year. One's around December, one's around June. You obviously don't need it all year round. Maybe you only want to showcase this text to donate feature at an event. Well, you could open it up for maybe November and December, so the month before the event, the month of the event, and then you could close it, and then open it again in the summer when your second event is happening. If you are interested in selling tickets, the current rate as of October of 2020 is that 2.2% plus 30 cents per transaction processing fee. And then there's also a 15% platform fee, but that's up to a maximum of $3 per ticket. So the math there turns out to be pretty commensurate with the online options that people generally tend to use. If you have any questions about fees or you want to do some of the math together, please let us know. We're happy to walk you through the math and kind of look at the numbers together. Any other notes on pricing before I get to kind of our wrap up, Emma?
I don't think so.
Perfect. Questions. So normally this is where you would ask us questions, but since this is a pre-recorded webinar, we have a couple suggestions for you. If you have a question, you've got a couple different places to check. First, each project is going to receive a WeDidIt user guide created for you by CNDC. So that would be a great place to look. It'll have directions that say specifically, okay, the first thing you're going to do is come down here and set up your user settings. Then you're going to set up your white label, etc. So you can use that kind of as your guidepost. Then if as you're doing these pieces, you have any questions, we really encourage you to use this help center. It's great. And of course, this online chat feature down here is also great. And then of course, if you still have unanswered questions, please let us know. We're happy to help in any way that we can. Emma, any other notes to close us out today?
One thing I just thought of, I don't think we showed that getting started checklist on the bottom right. When you log in for the first time, and we might have mentioned this, but I think it's worth mentioning again, just in case, you will likely be prompted to add some sort of payment or banking information. Please disregard that instruction. Like Steph mentioned, all of our project sub-accounts are already connected to CNDC's bank account. Please do not change any banking information or payout information. All of that is going directly to CNDC, and we are allocating those funds to your project.
Thank you so much. I think we did miss that, and that's important. Yep, your donations will go straight to your project. You do not need to link a bank account or a credit card. Thank you for hitting that. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and please let us know what questions you have. We are still finalizing WeDidIt user guide, so you might see a couple versions in the coming months as everyone gets set up and as we all learn what works best with WeDidIt. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.